Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Bitwise officially files for XRP ETF with the SEC. Well. Okay guys, absolutely bullish news here, real great stuff to hear. And so I'm going to quickly go through this and explain, what this really means and what we can expect going forward. So look, the first thing I'm going to say is, look, when I've covered this before in the past talking about an ETF, I have said that I didn't really think it was likely that there was going to be an ETF filed this year, but I'm going to explain to you why I didn't think that would be likely to be the case. And what I'm going to explain is why, although I'm really happy about this and this is really bullish news, so let's not put like a dampener on this at all because this is really good, I'm still a little bit cautious of this, and I'll explain as we go ahead. So, make sure you listen to the whole thing here so you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so it's official now. There has been speculation. Some people have been a bit unsure because there was a rumored ETF that was put through before in the past, and people was unsure if it was legitimate or not, and it turned out to be fake in the end. But this is official. Bitwise have actually come forward and confirmed it, saying yes, we are putting the application through for the ETF. It's official. So we have got this now set in stone that this is a real thing. So what's the good stuff about this then? So the good stuff about this is, one, you're starting to see that companies are getting comfortable with XRP again, right? Like if you think about it now, it could have been that an ETF would have been filed way earlier than this, but it was just the fact that obviously the SEC lawsuit was going on. It's possible that, now that the lawsuit's over, they feel a lot more comfortable. And this is the other thing as well. Like, if you think about it from the lawsuit perspective, right, the SEC have still actually got time to appeal. And so what this says to me is the company here, Bitwise, are not really worried about the appeal, the potential chance of an appeal. Because make no mistake, this isn't a thing where they don't think they won't appeal. Because at the end of the day, just because they've not appealed yet, it doesn't mean that they couldn't still appeal. And I'll get into that a little more in a minute. And so the fact that they've done this regardless of the fact that there's still a window open for them to appeal, it just lets me know that Bitwise think that the SEC, that they've kind of lost their hand at this point, right? They don't really have the same anymore. I think they're seeing how they're handling crypto. Everybody can see that they're doing it in the wrong way. And I think a lot of people now are just getting to a point, and companies, they're just getting to a point where they just don't worry about it anymore because they know that they're just acting disingenuously. They can just see that they're out to just try and destroy crypto. And so I think they're all aware that, we'll go through these lawsuits because in the end, the SEC will lose. Like, I think everyone's growing confidence here now that the law is actually being applied properly, and they can see that the SEC are not acting in good faith of the law. And so, to me, what that means is this could open the floodgates, right? So, if this application was to get accepted, what could that mean? Well, it could mean that you then have BlackRock applying for an ETF. You could have Grayscale applying for an ETF. You could have all these other companies then start applying for an ETF, because that's kind of how it started with Bitcoin, right? It was Grayscale, I believe, who originally started trying to go for an ETF. They was giving Grayscale issues with getting the Bitcoin ETF approved, and then Grayscale sued them and they won the lawsuit, and so in the end they had to give up and let them get the Bitcoin ETF approved. And after that happened, BlackRock came in and all these other companies came in, and that's how it happened. So this could open a door in the same way, which would be absolutely amazing. So to me, that tells me that these companies are starting to, get back into XRP again. They're starting to feel comfortable to want to do business revolving around XRP. And that's why I think this is so good. Two, just, look, this shows trust about XRP just in general, right? Because at the end of the day, for example, let's just be honest here, Solana has taken over XRP spot in the top 10. It's beating XRP right now. So they could have applied for a Solana ETF, right? Some people was thinking Solana would get an ETF before XRP, but this is where you can show that XRP has been tried and tested in the sense of it's been a top 10 cryptocurrency pretty much since its inception, and it's maintained that even during the lawsuit. And I think that stands for something. So I think they can see the prestige still in XRP. So I think that really does show a lot of confidence that people still have in XRP. You know, like you still see some people talking, saying, oh, XRP is dead and, you know, it's not going to go anywhere. Well, you know, would Bitwise really be applying for an ETF if they thought there was no potential to make money out of XRP, if they saw no hope for its future? Right? So clearly that just shows that Bitwise have confidence that XRP is going to be, you know, a valuable asset to put out there to the market, to their client base, right? And so, you know, this is where, I see all the positives about this, you know, like this is why I'm really happy to see this regardless, because it's a great step forward. And it just means that, hey, even if this doesn't go through right now, I think it's on the cards now. Like it's on the cards a lot sooner than what we would have expected. And that's what I think is really good about this. So overall, I'm really happy with this, and this is bullish news, like make no mistake. So now let's get into like the cautious side of me about why I'm a little bit skeptical of this and why I'm just a little bit reserved before I get too over the moon with this. Okay, so the reason why I said to people that I didn't think it was likely that there was going to be an ETF this year, it was basically because of the fact that what was going on with the SEC. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the lawsuit itself, but what I was saying is, okay, let's be realistic here, right? The SEC, when we've gone through this lawsuit, they've done absolutely everything they could to try and hinder Ripple, right? They've done absolutely everything they could think of. Like, if you followed the lawsuit, it was ridiculous, some of the things that they were saying to try and win the lawsuit, and it was quite pathetic. But they did it, right? They did it with no remorse. They felt no shame. They were just saying and doing whatever they could. And so, my thing is this, right? The ultimate thing is, at the end of the day, the SEC lost the lawsuit, right? Okay, so the first thing I've got to say is this. The SEC could still appeal the lawsuit, right? Like, I know a lot of people are thinking right now, like, it's so close to the deadline that they're just not going to appeal now. That doesn't mean anything, guys. Like, there's actually someone who used to work for the SEC. He's left now, but he said, look, like, don't take the time in as any kind of inclination as to whether they're going to appeal or not. Just wait until the deadline. And I agree. Like, I've thought that the whole time. Like, people have been getting excited on X and stuff like that, saying like it's not going to happen now. I'm like, I'm not thinking anything until the date comes and goes, the deadline comes and goes, because this is how petty I actually think the SEC is anyway, just in general. Forget the fact that it's, you know, it's a government organization, so they're going to, you know, take their time with putting the process through. I believe that the SEC are so petty, they would wait until the final day and then put the appeal through. I really believe they would do that. Like, I actually think Gary Gensler and co are that petty that they would do something like that. Try and make it look like, oh yeah, they all think it's all going to be fine. Ripple feel like, you know, it's almost over, it's done. And then on the last day, we'll just put the appeal through and let them know that the nightmare is going to continue. So I'm really not like 100% convinced yet that this appeal is not going to happen. Like, I still think there's a very real possibility that the appeal could happen. And the guy who used to work at the SEC said, look, like, it takes a while with the SEC to put stuff through because they have to go through different levels of approval and authorization. So it's not necessarily just like, okay, we're just going to appeal and that's it. No, like, they have to review things and stuff like that before they can do it. So he said, like, don't just take it as, oh, we're this far gone now, it's not going to happen. Like, just wait until the date passes. And so I thought that from the beginning. Like, I was never looking at it as the closer it gets, the less likely it's going to be. I just thought, wait until the deadline and then we'll know at the deadline. If the deadline passes, then we know for sure. If not, then they put the appeal in and then we find out. So that was always my concern. Now, if they do appeal, what's the likelihood that they're then going to approve an XRP ETF? Pretty much slim to none, right? Because I don't even think they could. Like, I don't think they could, because if they believe that XRP is still a security and they're appealing that, how can they then approve an XRP ETF? I don't think they could, because it would contradict their whole argument. So I don't even think they'd be able to do that. So this is my thing. Like, why would they put an ETF filing in now when, like, Gary Gensler's still there? Like, I thought what they would do if they was going to do anything for like next year, they would at least just wait until next year and see what happens after the election, right? Because, you know, it's been said that even if the Democrats win, they've said that they would still remove Gary Gensler, like they would still change him over. And so it could have been that even if the Democrats win, it could still be that, like, they get a new chair for the SEC and then that person is more crypto friendly, and then they start to be a bit more lighter, right? So then they could say, oh, okay, well, even though Gary Gensler's no longer there, you know, we've still had a replacement in the office, and this person's way more crypto friendly, so let's just try putting it through with them. But putting it through right now with Gary Gensler and knowing that, like, he's got the bruised ego of losing to Ripple, like, I just don't think they're going to want to do them any favors right now. I just can't see them approving it. That's the problem. Now, some might say, well, look, they've already been through lawsuits and lost, so, you know, they're not going to keep doing this. I'll say yes and no to that. I do agree with you guys, and I do think maybe like they might not want to keep putting themselves in that position to keep looking worse and worse. But at the same time, like, how many times have we seen Gary Gensler have to sit in front of like Congress and he gets absolutely grilled and nothing changes? Like, they say all this stuff about the things that he's doing wrong, but he's still just left to do what he's doing at the end of the day. Like, yeah, okay, it's nice to see him get shamed and, you know, put like, you know, his feet to the fire, but if nothing happens at the end of it, does it really matter? Like, yeah, okay, it looked embarrassing for him, but he's not losing his job or anything. He's not, you know, left without pay for a few months. He still just goes back and does his job. So it's like, I just don't really see the real impact in that regard. So my thing is, do I think he would care about getting sued again? Like, I don't think it would bother him. Because the thing is, these guys have got unlimited resources, right? So this ain't money coming out of their pockets. It's, you know, it's all the taxpayers' money. So even if he just looks at it as, hey, you know what, if they sue us, they sue us. And that's where the problem is, because, okay, let's say that, you know, Bitwise sue them to get this XRP ETF. Okay, cool. But how long will that lawsuit take? Like, that lawsuit could be another year, and that means it's going to be delayed by a year to even get the ETF. And see, this is why I'm being cautious about this, because while it's great that this is coming now, we don't know how long this is going to take. You know, now maybe it's a thing where by the time this gets reviewed by the SEC, the election will have happened. I don't know the process. I don't know how long it takes for them to review and give an answer. But if it is still while Gary Gensler's there, I'm very questionable as to whether he's going to accept this. So that's why I'm still a little bit skeptical, and that's why I was so, I wouldn't say adamant, but that's why I didn't really just think they would put in a file in this year for an XRP ETF. I'm glad to see they have, because to me, it still shows a lot of confidence and there's still a lot of positives to it, but I'm a little surprised. So look, overall, this is great stuff to see. At the end of the day, this shows that there is confidence back in XRP, and it shows that institutions are now coming to XRP again. So for me, that's the main takeaway from this, and that's what I think is really good. That's what I'm really happy with. But as to whether this gets accepted and stuff, well, we have to see in terms of the time frame. Like, that's why I'm saying I'm reserving my excitement just a little bit. Like, I'm not getting too caught up in this just yet, because we have to see if it gets accepted. That's what it all comes down to, and that's the real deciding factor as to how far this goes. But, you know, let's take the positives from this, because this is still really bullish for XRP, and this to me is a great step forward, and it means that, to me, in my opinion, it should mean that great things are on the horizon. So I'll leave it there, but really positive overall, and we'll see how this goes. I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Take care.